Okay, so this is just a practice video for measure 1 to 22, okay? And I'm going to do a couple of things. First, let's take out all the chords. Just play the top note of the chords. We'll work on the chords later. And I also want you to take out all of the trills and the grace notes. So don't do any of those for this time, just because we really want to get the foundation correct first, the basics, and then we can add all this other stuff later. Okay, my metronome is going to be at 80. Okay, so I'm going to play through, and then we'll go through some of the difficult rhythms, and then you can play along too. Okay, so from the very top, I'll count 3, 4, and then play. Yeah. Okay, 3, 4. So just like that, practice really accurately with the metronome. Later we'll take the metronome away, but for now, really precise rhythm, okay? Let's look at a couple of places. The first is measure 9, where you have so that rhythm, the 3rd and 4th beats, where you have the 16th note and then the dotted 8th note. You've played dotted 8 notes with 16th notes, right? So the dotted rhythm can be the opposite, where the 16th note comes first. Yeah, so if you have your metronome, so from the beginning of the measure, 3, 4. So,
ba-dum, ba-dum, ba. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Right? Because you're really dividing the quarter note into 4 parts, right? 16 notes. 1 ienda, 1 ienda, 1 ienda. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4. So if it was dotted 8th note and then 16th note, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But if it's 16th note and then dotted 8th note, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Dotted 8th and 16th is 1, 2, 3, 4. 16th note and then dotted 8th note, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I were to play just that rhythm, how it's written, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Right? 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Yeah. So when you're playing it faster, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So try that with the metronome. So 3, 4. 2 more times. 3, 4. One more time. 3, 4. Right? So that rhythm is important because it's going to come back later, and you want to make sure that it's really precise. Okay. The next rhythm, I think that's tricky, is measure 14. Dotted quarter plus 2 16th notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Up, up, exact rhythm, well, the dotted quarter note is the same as a dotted quarter plus 8. So if you go to measure 7, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same amount of time as measure 14, except now the 8th note is divided into 2 16th notes. So it sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So with a metronome, right on that measure, it's going to sound like this. 3, 4, 1, 2. Make sure you wait till you hear the second click before you move on to the 8th note, because it's a dotted quarter, right? It's longer than a single quarter note. So 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Right? Good. And the last rhythm I think that's difficult in these first few bars, first measures, is measure 19, the second beat, the 8th note plus 2 16th notes. All right? Again, do it without the trill for now, just because we can add those later. They're decorations. We have to make sure the rhythm is really solid first, then we can add the decorations. So, with your metronome, it's going to sound like this. I'm going to play the pickup, the note before measure 19, because it's slurred in. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 is when I want to come in on an up bow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So the rhythm for the 8th note plus 2 16th notes. All three notes, the 8th note plus 2 16th notes, have to fall in a single quarter note. So one more time, 3, 4. Okay. Couple of times. Let's go from pickup to measure 19, same place where I started. So 3 beats for nothing. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 4. Two more times. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, just try to focus on those rhythms and also play along with the run through I did at the beginning. Again, no chords and no trills and no grace notes for now. We'll add those later. One last thing that I would like you to do is, like I said before, this is really energetic. Yeah, big C major, and it has to sound really proud. So use a lot of bow. You're not used to doing that. So from the very beginning, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. You really want this big open sound, and you want to get used to the idea of using a lot more bow than you're used to. That means a faster bow, right? And that's really important, because that speed that you're going to have with the bow will create energy, which is what we want in this piece. Okay, so just try practicing those little things, and then I'll make another video for the rest of the first section of this piece. Okay, good luck.